Hello, welcome to Fridays with Foster. I'm your host, Foster, and today, instead of focusing on the coffee, I'm actually really excited to focus on the mug. My friend Mike Robison gave me this wonderful mug yesterday that says Fridays with Foster on it, almost in the same script. He told me he was trying to match the script, so that is really cool. I just have to figure out how to merchandise and sell it, and I'm sure he'll get a percentage. But anyway, so today the coffee part, so thank you very much, Mike. I really appreciate it. The coffee part of this is a 2-shot latte with 1 sugar. That cayenne pepper's been, you can hear my voice is lower today. It actually makes me cough, which is very interesting. Well, actually not very interesting. It makes sense. I just didn't really realize it until this morning. Maybe it's a little overkill, too much coffee, too much cayenne pepper. You know, if one's good, two's better. So what are we going to talk about today? Today we are going to talk about properly targeting your client base. The first thing we want to do before we can go out and decide what your future target is going to be, if it's not exactly where you're hitting it now, or if you're looking to invest a lot of marketing dollars into a specific area, then we want to make sure that we're reaching out to the proper target. And so what we can do is, if you've been in business for a while, you obviously have a long list of customers and clients that you've worked with over the years, and you probably have some ideas about who's good, who's bad, who's right, who's wrong for you. But what we want to do is we actually want to put a specific number of criteria to that. So I want you to draw out a matrix, and we're going to put one up on the side here. There's going to be 3 columns, which A, B, and C. Okay, and they're pretty much like grades. A is better than B, is better than C. And then there are going to be a series of rows underneath that for whatever you want it to be. However many you're going to want to have, and we'll talk about that. What we want to do is we're going to look at what is it about your favorite clients that you love, that makes it easy to deal with, and they're fun and all those types of things, and why do you enjoy working with them, and why do you want more of those? So what we want to do is we're going to start with the easiest one, which is probably revenue. You'd say, or total sales. So what is their total sales for a year? If it's $750,000, maybe $100,000, whatever it might be for the year. What's the total revenue, total sales for that year? The next thing that we would do is we would look at the A, B, and C and determine what those specific levels are for A, B, and C, which would be A could be 750, B would be maybe 500, and a C grade client would be 250 or anything below them. So move to the next line. So the next line states, we'll talk about profit. So profit per transaction, how about that? So profit per transaction could be, out of that, could be 20%, and for A, B could be 15, and C could be 10 or anything less, or 5 or anything less. The next line you could go down to would be average dollar sale, or the average sale of the project, or average project price, excuse me. So that can obviously be, depending on your average sale, then obviously we have those numbers depending on how they follow in with the first 2 columns, or first 2 rows. But the next one is actually really important. Cayenne pepper. The next one is what I call the X factor. So the X factor is actually something that is going to be very specific to you, specific to your business, and important based on usually the values of the company. So the X factor, I jokingly say, for some people, do I want to have them over for dinner? Would I be willing to have them over to my house for dinner? Or are they easy to work with? Are they fun to work with? The X factor is usually something that you can't really put your finger on, but there's something about it that's great. Like, I don't enjoy spending time with this person, so why would I want to continue doing business with them, right? The next level, next row that I always suggest is look at the referrals. How many referrals do they give you in your business? How many recommendations do they make for you? Now be careful, because we like to sometimes blame people for our own behavior or lack thereof. So we can say, well, none of my clients give me referrals. Well, do you ask them for them? Do you ask them for referrals? Or do you just, hope and pray that they're going to remember your name whenever somebody they're talking to may or may not remember to tell them that there's something specific they want help with that you can help them with? So just be careful. You might, if you're not currently asking or have a referral system set up, you might actually put in their potential, so that they have a very high potential for giving a referral in one side or another. Then we want to mark that down as well. So then what we do is we take all these things and we look at the companies that we have now, and we just kind of give a grade in each one to each company that, out of we usually start with the top 20%, right? Because 20%, the Pareto principle, 20% of your clients give you 80% of your profit. And on the other side, by the way, conversely, 20% of your clients take up 80% of your time. It's like the bottom 20%, right? So there's some room in there to move that we want to make sure that we're focusing on within that, the 80%. So what we want to do is we want to look at a grade for each one. So you can have customer X is maybe an A in revenue, could be a B in profit because maybe they don't have as much room to move, or there's some kind of a deal you can't make with them, or something you're willing to do. Maybe you just gave them a lower price and you've refused to change it after all these years because you're afraid. Anybody who knows me knows that I love to talk to customers about raising prices, because they usually never do it, and they're really afraid of doing it. So the next level down was the average dollar sale. So maybe average dollar sale is, they're a C in the average dollar sale. So they maybe do a lot of transactions, which the volume and number of transactions can be one of those on the list. But maybe they're just a lot of small transactions. Well, for some people and some businesses, depending on the industry, a lot of small transactions are really good. They're good for several reasons. One is that if you enact and implement a strategy, then you really get to see that strategy taking hold in that part of the process and the sales side very quickly, because there's high volume. But for some, the low volume businesses are much better because they're low volume with hopefully higher average dollar sale. So we want to take that into consideration too. And then the X factor, of course. Where do they rate in the X factor? Do you want to have them over for dinner, right? Maybe them, but not their partner, or whatever it might be. So after we get all of that together, you really take a look at what makes your best clients. And then we start looking at the commonalities, so we can go find more of those. But right now we're just talking about identification of those clients. So when we look at the list, we go down to the people that are maybe averaging out C's or D's. As I said, D's are anything, usually C and D I treat the same. But you may not want to fire a C, but you definitely want to fire D's. And by the way, everybody always says to ask the same question after they fire a client. They say, man, why did I wait so long to do that? They pay slow, if at all. They complain more than anybody else. They have unrealistic expectations of our product or service. They don't see the value in what we do. I feel like I have to keep reselling what we do to them. They view us as a commodity and keep trying to beat us up on price. We can't compete on price. That's not the way this works. So you might look at that as something that would put them on a lower end, and then you make a decision. Maybe it's time to get rid of those. Maybe it's time to go through, and now you actually have some form of measurement that can help you with that. So make sure to go ahead and take your clients through this, set it up, and see if there's an opportunity to really get specific about who you want to work with and why. So, and then we'll go through and figure out how to get more of those next time. So thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it, and good luck.